Hey everybody, what's up? I want to do a review of Larry Wilmore's new show that premiered on Comedy Central last week called The Nightly Show. Now, The Nightly Show is replacing the Colbert Report, and when I first heard about The Nightly Show, I thought that Larry Wilmore would play like a conservative talking head like Stephen Colbert did, but actually the show's more similar to The Daily Show than it is to the Colbert Report. Now, Larry Wilmore used to be a correspondent on The Daily Show. He'd always be like the senior black correspondent, and he would talk about African American issues. And he was a pretty funny guy on this show, but he never really did field pieces, which I think was unfortunate because he is a really good writer. And this show is sort of broken up into three different segments. You've got like the monologue or the intro where he sort of does what Jon Stewart does. He'll talk about the headlines, he'll crack some jokes, he'll play some videos. So he talked a lot about Bill Cosby last week. They talked about the State of the Union address, and that was basically what took up the news on the nights that I watched it. And then there's like a second part of the show, which is sort of more like politically incorrect or real time with Bill Maher, where he's got a panel of 4 to 5 people. They go around, they talk about different topics, and of course they talk about State of the Union, they talk about Bill Cosby. It sort of seemed like each show had a theme. They didn't really branch out into too many news stories, which I thought was a bit unfortunate, because I mean, for a 30-minute show, Jon Stewart's able to hit 3-4 different topics, whereas on this, I feel like they're just confining themselves if they're just staying with one topic. But that may change from night to night. And then they have another segment which is called keeping it 100 or so. It's like he'll go around the round table with his guests, and he'll basically ask them a question that they have to be truthful about, and then he basically rates their answers. And I thought that was probably one of the better parts of the show. And then overall at the end, he takes a question from Twitter where he has to keep it 100 and he answers a question. And I think overall the show's good. It's not as good as The Daily Show by any means, but it's definitely watchable. And the only pitfall I see with the show is that I feel like they need to change the format sometimes. Like, the panel discussion is not always comedic, and it's sometimes serious because they're talking about serious issues. But the beauty of The Daily Show is that they always change it up. They've sometimes got a panel discussion. Sometimes they'll have a single correspondent talking to Jon. They'll do field pieces. Jon will sometimes just continue on with his monologue and talk about some interesting news story, or Jon will interview somebody. And it just feels like with Larry Wilmore's show, they're just sort of really focused in one direction. I really feel like they need to branch out, because the show can be best described as if The Daily Show and Politically Incorrect or Real Time with Bill Maher had a baby, and this is probably what the show would look like. And it's a good show. I'm still going to keep watching it, but it's definitely not as good as the Colbert Report or The Daily Show. It'll be interesting to see what the ratings are like in the coming weeks and months. I'd love to know what you guys think of the show. Comment below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Take care.